Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Good morning. My name is Lauren Simpson. I am happy to be with you all today. Lori, Miss Lori Williams, how are you?
Doing well. My new favorite word, Lauren, is fabuloso. So I'm going to be fabuloso, which I don't even know if I say it correctly. But if you're wanting to be fabuloso, you don't even have to worry if you're not pronouncing it correctly, right? You can just make it up. And since our conversation today is I think we can make up anything today. Today is that, futuristic. What in the world's going on? Does the world exist? Make it up. Today is the ultimate play day. You know how your kids have a play day? I think every day is a play day, but today's a special, special play day. So that's what we're going to do right from the start. It's going to be a play day, everybody. So hello, everybody in the audience, the frequent flyers. Welcome to the show the first time. I mean, if they say, hey, here, I'm coming on the show, it's going to be a play day. I bet they're in for good. So Lauren, why don't you get us started and let's see what today creates?
I think Christine's comment says it all. So she goes, Good morning with two exclamation marks and then AI, woohoo. So here we go.
Thank you, Christine. That's a great way to start us off here.
For sure. So let me get these slides going, and here we go. Good morning, everyone. My name is Lauren Simpson. I am with the SBDC, or the Small Business Development Center. We are a national program with over 1,000 locations across the country, and we offer no-cost services to local small businesses at no cost. Again, no-cost services to local small businesses. For the Los Angeles Regional Network, we serve the Los Angeles, Santa Barbara, and Ventura counties. If you take a look at the map in front of you, you'll see that we are in Camarillo, Santa Clarita, Pasadena, out to Laverne, that's that little waymark over by Ontario, throughout Los Angeles, the South Bay, down into Long Beach. Here's the good stuff. Here's where we dive into what it is that we do and what we offer. Again, we offer no cost business advising. That means you are able to sit one-on-one with one of our business experts. Probably not face to face just yet, but via Zoom or a phone call. And you can discuss all kinds of things. We have experts in various arenas, from marketing to, if you're just starting out, business planning, market research. If you are looking to get your numbers together, I know someone who's amazing, the guru of all numbers, Miss Lori Williams. And then if you are an established business and you're looking to grow, we have an entire team that's dedicated to that. So they're called our ACT team, or the Access to Capital team. Lori is also part of that team too, if I'm not mistaken. And so you are we have tons of resources for you. We also have virtual trainings, and those are going to be comprehensive workshops. Again, these workshops are going to assist you in beginning your business, adapting, and or growing. Last and final thing to do, get in contact with us. We'd love to hear from you and get you started, or at least get started working with you. By phone, you can reach us 866-588-7232, or if you'd rather, online, smallbizla.org/new client. Now, if you've reached us and you're outside of our service area, which means that you are outside of the Los Angeles, Santa Barbara, or Ventura counties, please go to americassbdc.org/find your SBDC. With that, I'm going to stop my screen share. Quick housekeeping. Let's make sure we're putting all questions into the Q&A. Again, questions in the Q&A so that Lori can see them. That's where she's monitoring. And then the chat is going to be reserved for hearing from you guys, of course, but then also we'll have useful links and information that Lori would like to share with you, as well as contact. You guys, please be sure to email me if you'd like to set a meeting with Lori. Again, check the chat and I'll have all that information in there. Lori, I'm ready for today's show. I don't know about you.
I am too. And, speaking of emailing, Lauren, we have gotten more and more emails from people from the show, which I'm very happy to see. I've had appointments or set appointments coming up with several people that want to go over their numbers. So please, if you sent an email, sometimes it does kind of get lost within the system. Send it again if you didn't get a response, because know that both Lauren and I are out here to make sure you get any kind of help that you need. So I just wanted to make mention. And also, I brought up a couple times, and I forget, if you want to be a guest on the show, or you know somebody that wants to be a guest on the show, please let us know that, as well as any specific topics that you would like to see covered. Okay, so I'm going to start with my myth buster. So Lauren, I got a funny myth buster today. I am staying with our AI theme. How do you like this? Starting with the headline: programming, propaganda, and preferences. Okay, that's my myth buster. So I'm going to talk about my myth buster. As you guys know, whenever I talk about a myth buster, what I'm doing is I'm a lot of times extracting from things I'm noticing during my weekly consultings. I can go on with a million myth busters, as I often do, but I kind of pull from what I'm seeing. And with our AI discussion today, I thought this would be a good one. Now, the second line I wrote: knowing which you are listening to when creating a company. This topic's huge. I could go on forever. So I am going to do just a very small introduction, just an aha for you to think about it. Where I'm coming from is often I hear or see actions within the business owners taking that they must grow, or they must hire employees, or they must do this, or they must get to this amount of sales, or they must do this. It's this intensity of a desire, but it's really not based on what they're preferring. It's what society told them to do, the programming, the propaganda. You need to start a company, you need to grow, and then you go to this phase, and then you need to get other markets, and then you need to do this. Sometimes it's not feasible within the business model. It's a business model that is most profitable, profitable being the key parameter. That's what indicates it. If you have money left over to pay yourself and give you the discretionary income in your personal life to live the life you want to live. And so some business models are just best when they're small. Some business models and lifestyle desires are best when they're small. So what I'm doing is I'm inviting you to eliminate the programming, the propaganda of what your business should be, and come back to preferences. What type of life do you want to live? Do you want to have extra time to do things? Do you want to have certain experiences within your business? And then design a profitable business model around the amount of money you need and the desires you want to experience, rather than this progression that you believe you must be on. I'm going to end this by saying, many times when small companies come to me through the SBDC, or bigger companies privately, my solution, it's really almost hilarious, guys. My solution many times, after going through all the financial numbers, is to do less. To actually do less, to eliminate those products that are not profitable, to eliminate those services that are not profitable, to fire certain customers. By doing less, these underperforming assets are not bringing the company down financially, and allows them to be even more profitable. So a lot of times in life, this is a metaphor for life, you can achieve more by doing less. Get the propaganda out of your head, get the programming out of your head, go within yourself, figure out your preferences, and design a business that gives you the life you desire. Like I said, I can go on for an entire session on this and how you go about it financially, but no, it can be tied in financially, determined by a model. Reach out to me if you need help, or perfect leadway, take my financial series, because I literally discuss how you can use an Excel model to determine this. Session 2 is a very important one, along with session 3. This is when I get into the modeling. In fact, this month I had 81 people signed up for session 3. It's become very popular, and people are starting to see there are mathematical formulas and very small models you can create that tells you what the best, I call it the Rubik's Cube. You can turn this model a couple different ways and say, okay, this is a parameter I'd like to fit in. How do I make that happen within my company? I'm also bringing back what the best legal structure for my company and the tax advantages are. This is another very important webinar. I've had people request for it, so I'm bringing that one back as well. And I have a huge lineup for September as well as October, starting to book people. We got all kinds of topics we're going to discuss. Very excited next week to have our beloved, loved Emma back on, Emma Green, who's in our audience, should be in our audience right now. She is the founder of Emma Green Programs. We're going to talk about a myriad of things, and we're just going to leave that open because we're going to go through everything from selling services online to partnering, a whole bunch of topics we're going to cover. Jennifer Cox has Mama Osa, and it's memory and tie-dyed kits. These are really cool. You're going to love it when you see them. Pedman Nori, I'm probably saying his name wrong. I've talked with him several times, but I don't think I ever got his name right, so he'll have to correct me. He is the founder and CEO of Proper's Pickle, and he just started a new company, Entrada Apparel. He's going to tell us about that. And Eric Tuskoski, ET he goes by, Dirty Sue, it's a premium oil juice brand. The olive juice brand is what I meant to say. So isn't this an exciting lineup that we're going to have? But without going into the future, let's go to now in a futuristic way. So our beloved Deborah Deras is back with us. And I want to welcome you, Deborah, to the show. I am kind of allowing you to go through your introduction with me. Deborah is with our own network, the SBDC. She works for many of the different locations. She is known as our goddess of social media, but today she's coming on as a student of AI to tell us about what she knows about AI and share us with us and kind of just delve in and have a discussion around this fascinating topic. So first of all, Deborah, thank you so much for coming back. My energy level always goes so high when you're on the show. That smile, that energy, it's such a pleasure. And an interesting topic. So let's start out by kind of setting the stage because like I said, we're just going to chat. Did you get the fun? Joke, chat. We're just going to chat and talk us about student of AI. I mean, you've kind of picked this up as it started coming out and are starting to explore it yourself. So kind of tell us what brought your interest in AI and what you're kind of, experiencing and your desires to explore it before we even get into some questions. I'm just going to say, hey, Deborah, what are you doing with this AI stuff? You're really getting excited about learning about it, aren't you?
Well, before we get started with AI, I just was like so fascinated with your intro and how we're always so aligned and on the same page. My subtitle of the book that I wrote is How to Achieve More with Less Effort. And I co-wrote this book with a business partner because we were completely burnt out when we had started our business. And in my early 20s, this is a fun fact, probably you don't know, is I was literally hospitalized. I had adrenal burnout. And I think a lot of us, when we start our businesses, we just like, okay, I got to put everything into it. I sacrificed my, career, whatever career we had, or what we were going to do. We took our savings, we took money out, we put all of this energy into it. And there's this thought, because our society, United States society, teaches us no pain, no gain. You got to work harder, not smarter, and just go, 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 go. We'll rest when we're dead. Well,
right.
When I was 24, I realized that it wasn't going to be sustainable for me, and that there had to be a better way to work smarter, not harder. And that's why I love AI. See the segue?
Oh, yes. Yeah.
And that's why I love AI, because anything that is going to help me and all the small businesses I serve to be more efficient, to be able to build and grow and scale faster and easier. And the word easy, a lot of corporate people, like I remember bringing my book to this insurance company, they're like, easy. We don't want our people to work easier. We want them to work harder and slave. But as small business owners, we can't. A lot of us are only a one-person team. And if we don't have support of a staff, how are we going to grow? And that's where AI comes in.
I love that, and you know, we always are on the same page. And I even talked about this with Lauren some time ago. I have started over many months now during the show, always bringing up lifestyle, always bringing up your own person. You know, I just think if we're going to own our own company, which I think is a fabulous freedom capability, let's also incorporate what we want our desires to be. So I think we should, you ready for this? And I'm going to take it with my first question. You ready for this one, Deborah? I think we need to step out of our personal programming and allow computer programming to help us. We need to kind of step out of the personal programming suit that's no longer serving us. Let's use programming in AI to serve us, but let's step out of our personal programming suit that is not benefiting us, that we never really even consciously put on ourselves. So,
Yes, we run programs of limiting beliefs that things need to be difficult or things need to be hard, and it doesn't have to be. And that's where AI can serve us.
I come into lack, limitation, and separation. Whenever I listen to my beliefs, if it's lack, limitation, or separation, I know it's not a true. We got to come back on and we got to have one of our conversations again, Deborah, where we just talk about mindset, because you and I can go forever. Audience seems to always love it. And yeah, I do have this deeper side to me, as I think my audience is starting to see. And recently, in the last year, I've kind of had this thing of don't hide that, bring that forth as well. So let's get on our topic. So, and I got to say that I'm going to call myself, and I'm going to begin this, and we're going to go through it, but I'm going to say it's going to be an interesting conversation, Deborah, because I'm going to give myself a label today: AI ignorant and somewhat AI fearful. So I'm asking the questions as much as an audience member as a talk show host right now. So what is AI exactly? Because I hear it in all different ways, from it's going to take over the world and me to it's going to benefit me. So what is it and how does it work? Can you give us a beginning thought process here?
Yes. So it's yes and both. Yes and no and both, right? So artificial intelligence, which many of you are probably already using and you don't even know it, or you've experienced it before. It's basically an algorithm that predicts patterns, right? So I've always been into technology because my dad was an engineer. So as a young girl, my dad would be creating like video games and doing this, doing all these things. And like, it's all about patterns. It's all about code. And I'm not a very mathematical or statistical person, but I'm a very much an efficiency and end results person. So if there is a tool like that, so artificial intelligence is a set of programs, tools, systems that can predict patterns. So think of something that you're using every day, like a spell check, right?
Okay.
A spell check will predict, or something like Grammarly, that if you're going to type something that, that this would be the next letter. And I don't know if you've noticed something simple like Gmail, where Gmail started, where you go to type something, it'll predict what it thinks you're
Right.
going to say based
Yep.
on patterns of not only what you say, but an aggregate of everything on the web. And AI is predicted. And when I say it's predicted, because I consider myself an AI student, I could not possibly be an AI expert. I think it got on my radar in November. And then starting maybe in March, I was like, well, let me learn this AI tool. And then in May, let me incorporate this AI tool. And literally the tools and the resources that AI provides is predicted to be bigger than Google search itself, even possibly replacing Google search because of all the capacity and power that it has. And Google, knowing this, is already, investing money into different AI programs. So is Microsoft, so is Meta, AI is big, where the biggest players, Microsoft, Google, Apple, Meta, who owns Facebook, are like, we better get in the AI game. If you know anything about startups and venture capital, almost all of the companies that are being funded the most are AI companies. Why? because it has so much impact on our ability in every aspect of our life to live, work, be. It's just, it can be all encompassing, really, if we
Yeah.
use it.
And Deborah, if I ask, because I got the curious mind, you know me, so please let's make a little rules of engagement. If I ask something that I'm asking, I'm like, you don't know, just say you don't know, because I'm just going to go haywire with my questions. So you tell me, I can't help it. I'm like this. I'm like this. Okay. So just say, Lori, back down. I don't know the answer. That's not something to discuss here, because I got one I got to ask right away, Deborah. I'm burning to ask it. Okay. So before we even get into the small business, as you mentioned, the major players, the Google, the Microsoft, and the investment capital, my little mind, because remember, I'm as curious as I am fearful, right? So my little inside fearfulness has this question. Are we seeing AI options available for our usage also be coming from small companies? Because the minute to understand my question, the minute you mentioned Google, Microsoft, I think, okay, here are only these big players. They're going to own the space, own me. Am I also seeing AI tools coming out of little tiny startups where maybe it's more of a local purchase that I trust? Does that make sense what I'm asking? Is it okay to answer one?
No, there's like hundreds of small companies. In fact, to pitch our SBDC webinar series, I'm teaching the 12 best apps to use in your small business, and only one of them is from a big company.
Okay, let's go there now. Then that thank you. That gave me my little scaredness just settled down a bit. So thank you for that. So now let's talk about how can we use it in the small business, because that's an interesting aspect that I'd like to spend some time. I hear of other people using it in different ways. Can we just start with a high level of different options for use in the small business?
Yeah. So, and by the way, going back to fear, because I love to talk about mindset when I'm not talking about marketing, I talk about, in my own business as a speaker, I talk about mindset. In working with the SBDCs, I talk about marketing. And then I also do manifestation workshops, vision board, that kind of thing. It's like 3M.
I gotta believe I'm not the only one that's discussing the fear. You've got some experience. I'm not the only one that's saying almost,
no.
right?
In fact, that's what the headlines lead with. I mean, because so the thing is that why there is fear is because it's lack of control. So the core limiting belief of the fear is lack of control, because if you're giving AI permission to write something for you or to do something for you, then you're surrendering part of your control. And for people that want to have a lot of control, they're not going to want to use AI tools, because they're like, but it's the same thing when it came to social media. A lot of people are scared of social media because you're like, oh, well, I don't want to lose my privacy, or I don't want people to know this about me. But you can control how much you share and what you share. And same thing with AI. So there's a lot of, I'm not saying that there's not. When it comes to AI, like I have, and when I teach my PowerPoint, I have like 2 slides of why you should be scared of AI. There's environmental impact, because there's these big computer systems that are aggregating the data, and what is the carbon footprint of that? There's legal issues that you need to be aware of when you're creating graphics or you're using content that's from an AI generated thing like ChatGPT. You got to be mindful of that. If there's AI robots. Oh my God, I love watching when I can't sleep and have insomnia. I'll watch like AI conferences, and they'll have like a robot on a panel, and they'll ask a robot AI a question. And a robot is basically just a metal cage with the ChatGPT system brain in it, and it's just answering questions that it's been programmed to answer. And so it's kind of crazy and weird. So there's a lot to be scared of with anything. They're scared of driving. Like, I'm scared of driving. There's so many accidents, right? But does that stop me from driving? No. I get in the car and I have to force myself to drive, even though I'm scared of it. So basically, AI, like social media, is here to stay. It's not going away. And it's only going to be becoming more of a part of our life. Like, for example, you go to CVS, right? Or you go to Ralph's, whatever you go shopping, And I went to Panera Bread. It was like kind of traumatizing. I was in Michigan and I went to go look for the people and there was no people. There was just a cashier thing and you had your thing and you scanned it and you became the checkout person because they no longer had people, even at McDonald's, taking your order. Is that scary? You go to
Well,
a bank, you don't have a teller, you have an ATM machine.
yeah, and it's interesting that you bring that up because whenever I go to the grocery store, I look for the place where I don't go through the checker. I want to do it myself because I can get in and out. I like AI on that. And
Yeah.
I just want to make one small sentence on what you're saying. And this is why I wanted to bring up the fear because I think that we can't let fear, like the car driving example, stop us from utilizing it. So I think there's two sides here. On one side, AI has so much potential to improve our life. On the other side, we're afraid. We got to come friends with both and merge it so we don't miss out on the opportunity. And that's why I'm starting out with this discussion because I think it's not only on my mind and bringing those together. So when we talk about a small business, take us a little bit, even okay, now we got the fear. We're like, okay, Deborah, I'm going to take your word for a minute, but show me the little carrot and the stick. Take me down a road a little bit and show me or tell me about one example, just one simple example on how I could make AI in my business and suddenly things will be better for me. Just give us a little carrot and then let's walk towards it.
So let me give you an example, and it really correlates with everything I teach with digital marketing on the previous webinars or podcasts that you've had me on in webinars. So one of the most important things with social media is that we post as a lead generator because we want people to become a prospect, not just a follower, not just a liker, right? And the best way to do that, any digital marketer will tell you, is to get people on your email list, right?
Right?
How do you
Yep.
find out about this podcast? How do you find out about webinars? You get an email. So we connect with people, we capture their emails and we convert them. But guess what? All of you 53 people that are on here, you're so busy as a small business owner. You don't have time to write a freaking newsletter or an email to send it to a list. So you get all these, you follow my advice or whoever's advice, you get people on your list, and then you don't do anything with the list. You just let it sit there because you don't have time to write it. Well, guess what? One of the things that AI helps us with is efficiency and execution of our digital marketing goals that we have, but we don't have time for. So you can use one of the most popular AI tools that many of you may already be using is ChatGPT. You could go to ChatGPT and with the proper prompts, and this is what I teach. I'm actually teaching a ChatGPT and Canva workshop with the Pasadena small business. I forgot, September 13th. We can put it in the chat. It's going to be Thursday, and you could contact Annie in Pasadena about signing up for that.
Can you put your information in the chat, Annie, so everybody can get in touch with you? Go on, Deborah.
Yeah. So for example, I am a busy small business owner and I need to write a newsletter, and there's, 5 weeks in a month. What am I going to write? You ask ChatGPT, you train ChatGPT. You say, this is my unique selling proposition. This is my small business. This is my customer avatar. I want it to be in a tone of voice that's appropriate for corporate. Like say you're writing for corporate customers, but I want it in the style of Brene Brown, or I want it in the style of Mel Robbins, or you can even have it in your style. If you've written a blog on or before September 2021, because ChatGPT 3, the free version of ChatGPT, has aggregated content up until fall of 2021. I personally paid for the ChatGPT 4, which is up to date and has all these cool plugins. So it's more, it's more customized. So you could get subject lines that will get people to open your email list newsletter. You give the prompts to ChatGPT, training it. It comes up with a whole series of subject lines. Then you're like, okay, that's great, ChatGPT. Now can you write 3-paragraph newsletter using these keywords, using these topics, using these themes, whatever, for me? Give me a version. And then they write a version. You copy and paste it from ChatGPT, and then you edit it. You're like, that's a good start. Now I don't have to rack my brain for hours Don, who is the director of Pasadena SBDC, said it helped him to write
Yes,
his newsletter. That
it
he was
did.
like, oh my God, I wrote my newsletter. I got it all out. Instead of spending hours and hours and hours, I got it started, right? So
Yep.
it can help you to get that newsletter out. And what does that newsletter do? It gets your small business on the top of the mind for your ideal target market, and it can convert more sales.
Gotcha. Okay, so here I go, the little curiosity, Lori, and you tell me, Lori, yes, no, right? So I've always wondered about this aspect you just spoke about. Now, me being a writer and getting paid as a writer for years and having books and spending time writing for even my own website, my question is, when Chat GPT is going out and reading the blogs and then writing, is it basically stealing information that's been written before? Is it taking away from the critical thinking of the mind? Whereas what I see is when somebody sits down and thinks things through strategically, critical thinking, keywords I love. I'm very engaged in the fact that I think there's not enough strategic critical thinking in our own brains anymore. So how do I approach, look at, or bring together concerns of plagiarism or my own information being plagiarized? And where is the human creative being utilized, removed in this situation? Can you just take it from there, Deborah, and comment a little on that?
Yeah, so artificial intelligence, keyword is artificial. It's not human, it's computer. It's always going to have a little bit of a computer robotic element to it. And
Okay.
even one of my AI teachers who I love, her name is Kim Garst. I'm in her AI program, GARST. And one of the things that she was coaching us on is when we're training Chat GPT or Jasper. Jasper is another great one where it takes 4 different Chat GPT types things and it takes the content and it puts it into your brand voice. Because if you're not familiar of how to train Chat GPT, you don't know the prompts, then you don't know what to do. But Jasper asks you questions. What style of voice do you want? And asks you a million questions. So then it creates a voice like your brand voice. It's never going to replace human strategic critical thinking. It's going to come close as it can get as a computer. And that's why what I recommend to my clients is don't just take Chat GPT, copy and paste. It's not plagiarism because it's creating it originally. Even if it changes, it's like I have my best friend is an intellectual property attorney. She just sued the weekend and won. Like when you write songs, like if you are doing a melody that somebody else did or a hook that somebody else did, and they own that and they own the rights, then you're violating their rights, right? But if you tweak it even a little bit, I think with Robin Thicke, when they were doing, they had that there. And if they tweak it just a little bit, then it's original content. And when you're typing into ChatGPT, you could say that it's free of plagiarism. You can actually put that into that so that it's not distinctly doing that. And when it comes to plagiarism, that's a question for a legal attorney, that you should have an attorney come and talk about the implications of your own work and AI. I don't know the answer to that.
Yeah.
And it's still under development, like the legal implications for you. Because like somebody could say, please, I want you to write a blog in the style of Lori Williams, right? So they're not going to have your exact thing. But like I had a client, and actually I'm meeting with her right after we're done, and we were writing an ebook for her. I helped her in 45 minutes to write 85% of her ebook through using ChatGPT. And she wanted to write the book in a style of a particular comedian. And the particular comedian uses certain words, like funny words, and it was hilarious. Like her blog, what we had started with, and when we changed it to in the style of that comedian, it was so amazing and so much more engaging and so much more readable. It was like really awesome.
Well, it's interesting because back in the day, we had a phrase, us writers, we would call it, which is actually a negative thing. I'm being kind of honest here. We called it claim and rename. You know, sometimes we would look at how somebody else wrote something, we would claim it as our own, change it a little bit and rename it. You know, it was that looking out for creative ideas. So in a way, it's exactly what we're speaking about with AI. And I think the one thing that I want to emphasize that you said that might take away for this part of our discussion is when you said, don't just copy and paste, you need to edit it. And I think that's a heads up for people using it as well, because I think too often many people use things they find and they copy and paste without thinking it through. And it's that part of that strategic thinking, critical thinking, assessment, customization, personalization, whatever words you want to use. But it's that taking it as a template and then modifying it to yourself and then using it. So I like the words you said, using it as a start, you know, not using it as a completed product, using it as a start.
Let me give another example. Like I was coaching someone yesterday who owns a dog walking pet sitting business. And when she would do her post, she would have a picture of a dog and she would say Thursday. And I'm like, you got to say more than Thursday, right? But she didn't know what to say, right? And I said, what's going to get people to hire you as a dog walker is they feel that you're going to care about their animal as if they would. I'm like, why don't you write your posts in the voice of the dog, like from the dog's perspective, right? And like, okay, so there's Lola, the, you know, Chihuahua, right? So then you could have the chat GPT, like what would Lola say about the walk, but then add the customization of how, you know, if it's a hot 90-degree day, how you don't walk the dog during certain hours, how you'd pick up the dog, you know. And I love my dog walker because she always takes such good care of me and this and that. And so you could create, and maybe you don't have like the creative mind to be able to write like the dog, but chat GPT can take it and then you can edit it and make, because the thing is with social media, in order for you to go from likes to sales, you need to connect with your avatar. They need to feel as if they know you and they're talking right to you. If you make it artificial and generic, it's never going to convert to a sale. So you can use, it's just like anything, like you use it as a tool, but the bad part of AI is if you rely on it and you replace it, because then it's going to be robotic. You're not going to make any sales. So you want to use it to get you started, but to use your human element to keep it connected to your brand.
Well, you know, and this is putting my mindset in a kind of a new way of thinking about things, Deborah, because when I sit down to write something today with the internet, no, I didn't without the internet, but today with the internet, sometimes I'm going to Google things just to get creative juices flowing, look at other people's website, look at this. So now instead of me seeing this thing's writing for me, I'm realizing I'm doing the same thing, but I'm having to spend the time trying to figure out what to look at that's relevant to what I want to see to get the creative juices. Now Chat GPT can go out and scan the world for me and bring back what's relative for me to then modify and go from there. So it's really giving me a different way of looking at it. I want to go in this direction for a second. I'm going to ask two questions because I'm also incorporating one from the audience. So I'm kind of going in two pathways. One of them, and it's around the cost and usage for a small company. So they're two separate. One of them is, can I have a small business and not use AI? You know, at some point we got where companies needed to at least be on social media or have a website to even be in the game. You know how we finally moved towards that when websites came out. So can a company at this point in time not engage in AI at all? And if they want to, can they use the free, you mentioned a pay for? What are the costs to start using AI? Just like we say, well, website cost is your hosting, and if you have somebody design it, can we approach it from that angle?
Yes. And I would actually like to do a show and tell with, so there is so think about if you needed to hire a graphic designer, right? Mm-hmm. You're launching your business and you need to create graphics, right? We have Canva, which is very, you know, graphics made easy. That's their unique selling proposition. But say you had a product and it didn't exist yet. You know, like I have a lot of clients where they're in the startup phase and they're raising capital or they're using their own capital and they don't have the physical product yet. but they
And
need.
that's hard. That's hard because you have to sometimes get a model and you pay all this, and that's a very challenging stop.
And how do you get people to subscribe to your email list or your text list to start doing crowdfunding or raising money or whatever you need to do to get interest on it? So part of what an AI app, there's all of these amazing graphic design programs, not just graphics, but also art, creations of art that you can have that can get people to understand, because people will not buy your product if they're confused about it. They
Right.
need, your clients, your customers need to understand, how does your product and service solve my pain and problem, whatever it is. If you need a crystal and that's your problem because you want to have good energy in your office and you feel like a rose quartz crystal is going to help you have that balance of frequency, how do you sell that if you don't have it yet? Well, AI, and because we were talking about ChatGPT is one of thousands of AI. I used to think that that was the only one. When I first studied AI, I was like, oh my God, this is one of thousands of AI, maybe soon to be hundreds of thousands of tools that'll help us. But there are some graphic design programs that will rock your freaking world. One of which I love, that I talk about, is called Midjourney. It's very popular. It's an offshoot of Discord, which is kind of like a social media platform that can create graphics. Another one that's an offshoot of OpenAI, which created ChatGPT, is Dolly. And I want to show you an example. If I can share my screen first.
Please do. Please do. Okay, guys, here we go.
So this is Dolly, okay? And so I had a client that has a business where she sells, can you see the rose quartz?
Can.
She sells these spheres, right? So but she doesn't, I think it's a drop ship thing. So she doesn't have inventory, right? But she wanted me to create something for her where it could show the rose quartz. And obviously in her caption, that she can have ChatGPT, right? She can explain the qualities of the rose quartz and the benefits and how it will increase your efficiency or productivity in your office. But so these graphics, what they do is you type the text and out of nowhere, they will create an image. And you could use that image anywhere you want in your marketing. In fact, Midjourney, in their terms and conditions, if you create something, they give you permission to be able to sell it in product and merchandise. So this is Dolly. By the way, so this was one of my clients. Another one of my clients sells accessories for these types of trucks. And she wanted to have these trucks. I can't remember the name of this truck. I'm sure you know it's a Mercedes, something G-Class, something, in different scenes. So we, through Dolly, created a G-Wagon. So she said, create an image of a G-Wagon off-roading on a mountain trail. And so because she doesn't have that set up, she had me create. And one of the things you'll love about these graphic design programs is they'll give you 4 versions, and then they'll let you make amendments with colors and distinction and this style and that style, that, you know, having a graphic designer and hiring. So you asked me about the cost. I'm giving you a long. Like Dolly, I think it cost me like $20 for like 15 images. If you think of hiring a graphic designer, it would cost you thousands of dollars. So this is not good for graphic designers. If you're a graphic, it's like when I married my husband, we're not married anymore, but he worked in a photo lab where he was doing black and white prints. And I'm like, babe, you got to get out of the print business. And so then he became a paid artist where he designs murals and he works with at-risk youth and kids and helps them with that. Because I want you to know the challenges of AIs is a lot of industries are going to be impacted. They're going to be disrupted. Just like the taxi industry was disrupted by Uber, the writing industry, the graphic design industry, so many industries are going to be disrupted because it's not going to replace people, but it's going to give people other options for getting graphic designs done. So this is another of my client. He has a natural deodorant. So he wanted it to be like with a big bang crashing into the natural deodorant, etc. I was thinking, how could I use it? So I wanted to have like a Latina speaking in front of an audience, but I realized I don't want this weird-eyed lady. So I would want to have one, what I would give better instruction. So I'd have it with her back facing the audience, getting a standing ovation. And then I can have a picture of an audience where I could use that in social media. But I'll show you another one that I did. So I have a little Yorkie dog. I love my dog. My dog is named Divino, and his nickname is Vino. And Vino and I are about to take a vacation, going along Amtrak, which, by the way, I could get a gig, which I'm going to work on, to be an influencer, or I can get ARP because I'm an ARP territory. I could be an ARP spokesperson to talk about the relaxing leisure trip. And I'll get Amtrak and ARP to pay for the whole trip, right? And maybe Marriott for our hotel stays. But Vino likes to drink vino on the wine. And that's why we go first class on Amtrak. And then ARP can say, you know, you don't have to schlep and be driving. You can enjoy your retirement or your after 50 living by riding the golden rails. Remember Hugh Hauser used to talk about?
Yes, totally. Yes.
If you're like me, my algorithm says that if you like me, you'll like Hugh Hauser. So I used to love Hugh Hauser, and he would ride the
Hugh Hauser. I never missed an episode.
When I want to grow up, I want to be like Hugh Hauser, and I just want to travel and have a travel blog. And so I use Midjourney, which is not Dolly. It's a different, app. And I paid for, I don't know, what did I pay? $96 for the year, but I have unlimited ability to make all these graphics. And I'm like, let me just do this for fun and throw this on my Facebook. I put this on my Facebook, and I usually get, a few likes, few comments. I got 77 as of just a few hours ago. I just posted this, and 42 comments. Every time somebody comments, I can comment back. And one of the people that commented works for an organization, I think Autodesk, and is pitching me speaking engagement on mindset. Why? Because she saw this, and then she looked at my bio and she's like, oh, Deborah does speaking on mindset. I want to bring her in. So it captured attention. It stopped the scroll. People are used to me doing mindset quotes. They're used to my face. They're not, and so many people think this is my actual dog. They're like, oh, your dog is so cute. I'm like, it is not my dog. It looks like my dog. You see my dog with his necklace. By the way, my dog got a sponsorship for his Instagram for a leather vegan collar. He's
modeled. Oh, that's so awesome. Deborah, there's so many fantastic things that you said in the last conversation about this that I want to come back and unpack. Okay. First of all, going back to the Wagon G, I think it was, or whatever that was. I don't know if you know this about me, you may or may not, but I started my first company at 25. I want to go back to that for a moment, right? But it wasn't that I started my first company at 25. I meant to say what it was. So we got to go back some years, Deborah. We got to be old to understand this. I had been a salesperson in the advertising world, but worked for a traditional typesetting company. This is prior to the computers, the Macintosh, where an advertising agency had to have a traditional typesetting company create the type, and then it went to a photographer, etc. So with that, being in that industry, what I know is that when you were trying to do either a illustrator or have a photo shoot with a vehicle like that, that's prohibitive of basically anything but large companies. So immediately what I saw in that was the possibilities of having small companies compete visually with graphics that only the bigger companies could produce before. Yes, exactly. So I saw it, and I wanted to say the reason I saw that so intensely is my first company, I was involved in the advertising world for many years. I know you guys see me as the guru of all numbers, but believe it or not, I've been sales, marketing, all of it. It's just numbers is where I finally settled in. So another thing I want to bring back, Deborah, when I was a traditional typesetting company, my sales, I was in sales and I was doing really good for 25. I was making a lot of money. And all the people were saying that they were going to invent this computer called, a computer Macintosh, and my entire industry was going to be wiped out. And I'm like, oh my God, I am a has-been at 25. I'm like, and I was angry. Why am I always coming into industries and getting somewhere when they're gone away? Why am I always a has-been, right? Well, what ended up happening is my business partner at the time, we raised enough money and we bought the traditional Macintosh. I think it was the CE, if I'm mistaken, and we became an advertising agency with the Macintosh competing. And so I jumped on this new industry and engaged in it. At 25, I learned a very valuable lesson. And that's what I think you're speaking of, the fact that graphic designers and your husband, and this is the one I want to speak of. I remember one day, okay, it was still back a long time ago. I was typing an invoice, right? And I looked at my hands, and this is what I want to say to the audience who is afraid of their skills being discontinued. I realized my hands made my money. My hands and my brain made my money, not this business model, not this business model. There is always something to jump onto. You just got to be aware and jump on. So I am actually coming almost full circle since our beginning. I'm seeing that AI creates opportunity. AI is good for small companies to have the ability to have a level playing field. AI can be a very low investment to what we're getting from it. And yes, AI can be scary and there's legal aspects and that will work its way out, but don't get so caught up in the fear of it that you don't look at it. But you don't have to be in it today. You can also wait and see how it comes out. Deborah, that's my summary from what I learned during our conversation. I do okay?
That is so good. Yes, exactly. And just my closing words of wisdom when it comes to AI, I mean, efficiency was just one of the tools. It could be used for customer service. It could be used as literally your 24/7 personal assistant. I think one of the biggest challenges that most of my small businesses have is not having the time and the energy to do something like social media, or to do something like email, newsletter. Once you learn, or to have a podcast, once you learn how these tools can cut the time and energy and cost down, you're going to be able to grow and scale faster and easier. And that's where, it'll help you. And we just scratched the surface. I have many webinars, and also for those of you in Long Beach, Pasadena, or Santa Barbara, or even the LA area through LEAD, I do one-on-one consulting through the Small Business Development Center. You could send an email to Deras at SmallBiz LA. Is that my email? I don't know my email. Laura, do you know my email? Deras, I know I have an email.
Lauren will put it in. Lauren grabbed it.
Lauren will put it in. Yeah, but I think the best way to get more, if you want to learn more, is check out the webinars online. You can look at longbeachsbdc.org, pccsbdc.org. If you're in Arkansas, I'll be doing a whole series in Arkansas for the Arkansas SBDC, Louisiana coming soon, and the world. But yeah, don't let the fear of what AI can take over stop you from using it for your benefit, small business. Lori and I are like part-time job is to make sure that you're increasing your revenue, you're cutting your costs, you're able to scale, you're able to be successful in your small business. That's what we think of most of our waking hours. So this is going to be a tool that's going to help you in so many ways. So get interested in that. If you want to dive in a little deeper, there's a great podcast called Social Media Marketing by Michael Stelzner. You can listen to it on Spotify or go on YouTube and learn more. And we're going to make AI work for you and grow your business.
Great. Now, Deborah, can we also, just for my own desires here, can we blend in one last, I love where we are. Can we blend in another layer? Can we come back just for a second and talk about, and I don't want to put words in your mouth. I'm going to say them from me and you comment. With all this being wonderful, let's not lose the connection from
Yeah.
our own strategic thinking, our mindset. Let's not let these tools become where they go from making it easier. And I'm just going to use a word, I don't mean this word, but I'm going to play on it, where we become lazy and we forget to engage in our own thinking and our own intellect and our own spirit and our own mindset. If we stay very clear that we are still in our own power and we remain that we are the intelligent beings to think this stuff through and make sure it applies, I think we have a better relationship. Because, and the reason I'm saying this, I want to make this last statement. I'm seeing too many people in the finance world, the small businesses, download these templates, fill in these numbers, not know what they mean. And everybody knows I am constantly on the soapbox about we got to learn enough about finance. We got to be thoughtful, intelligent, and strategic to know we're profitable. We can't let a template tell us something and we don't even understand the answer. So can you comment on anything I said if it resonates with you as well?
Yes, in fact, I'm writing a new book that's called Realign for Success, and it's all about tapping into your IGS, your intuitive guidance system. So we have a GPS in our car, and we have an IGS. You as a writer, you as an author, you as a songwriter are never going to be replaced, because you know what we have as humans, that computers and AI can never replace. It's the feeling. A robot can't feel. And one of the things I saw an interview with Elon Musk, my thoughts on him are, I'm not going to even say anything. But one thing that he did say is that one of the things that made him a billionaire was trusting his gut. So this is something that is a right brain human thing that no AI can ever replace. And that's going to be the difference that can make the difference. So we're going to use AI as a tool, but we're not going to become lazy and over rely on AI, because ultimately as humans, we have that something that's irreplaceable. Like Beyonce will say, if you're going to see Beyonce, enjoy it this weekend. We're irreplaceable because it's the feeling, it's the intuitive guidance system, it's the intuition. We will get a gut. You know what? I feel like I need to post this, or I feel like I need to have this here. And that we want to listen to and use it in conjunction with AI. And that's how we're going to grow and scale our business.
You know what?
Small
I'm
business.
going to bring this full circle. Oh, didn't mean to cut you off, but I think, this is another part to add on, and I know you'll have a comment on this as we end. I am a complete believer in intuition, following the gut, that inner knowing, that consciousness. And to that degree, I always tell people, but let's do our analysis, because the gut, when it has data, can make better answers. It's also got data. But in that, there's another sentence that I say, and I think this is a good full circle from where we started. Our emotions can get tripped up and lead us down the wrong road if we allow fear to be part of the gut's logic and reasoning. So we have to be very conscious that we stay in our power and don't let the fear of something misguide us. And that brings us in full circle, that if the fear of AI misguides us, or the fear of anything misguides us, we're not really getting the true answer. So I'm going to throw it back to you, Deborah, to give the final words on this. I think I got most of the questions from the audience, and I'm looking through the questions. I think we got them. I kind of intertwined them in, as well as the programming propaganda. It really is about figuring out who you are and what you want to experience in this phenomenal, mysterious thing we called life. Deborah, let you close some words for us.
Well, I just want to say this is so much more to talk about. So just allow AI to be a tool, to be a resource. Don't let fear stop you, but also know it can never take over, because our intuitive guidance system, our gut, is always going to override everything. So I look forward to seeing you at my future webinars. If you want to have one-on-one sessions with me, you can, if you're registered with Santa Barbara, Ventura, Pasadena, Long Beach, I'm here to serve you. If you're not, I'm sure there are great digital marketing people at the center that you belong to. Make sure you ask them about AI, and and dive deep into it on your own. I got to go because I have a client right now, but thanks everyone. Otherwise I'd stay. I'll come back and talk about AI so I can answer all your questions. Really appreciate you guys. Bye.
Deborah, thank you. Well, Lauren, that was quite fascinating, wasn't it?
It was. It always is, though. What I will say about AI, it's been a little scary, but I love when she was saying, just figure out a way to harness it. Essentially, it's here. So just figure out a way to harness it and navigate it. So I love
Well,
that.
why I wanted to talk about it, because I had this sense, my gut feeling, if you will, that I wasn't the only one that felt the way, some of the questions I asked. And so there's so many people talking about how can I use AI? I wanted to have a show that talks about not only how can I, but do I want to? And how do I feel about it? Because I
Yeah.
think it is a very important topic to cover. And in that, I think at the end of the day, it comes back to what I said at the beginning. When we let anything, whether it's AI or societal beliefs, or we need to have our company grow, or we need to do this, when we let those be our AI, if you will, we are not necessarily going in the direction that serves our, if we can say, highest good. And I learned a long time ago. I remember when I was younger, I was like, the goal is to make this much money, the goal is to own this, the goal is to own this. And one day, in complete exhaustion and exasperation, I sat my butt down and I heard these words within me: no, the goal is to experience and be happy. And I changed my tune. I started saying, will this make me happy? Will this allow me to enjoy life? Will this give me the experiences? And I remember, I'll end on this, one year for a New Year's, we're talking decades ago, people give up things for New Year's and everything like that. And I said, I decided what I'm giving up for New Year's. And everybody said, what? And I said, I'm giving up society. And knowing my craziness, they're like, Lori, are you going in a hurt? What are you talking about? I said, no, what I'm going to do is New Year's Eve, I'm going to, in my mind's eye, take out all the cards of my life and all those that what society said I should be. I'm going to throw them out in front of me. And then I'm going to pick out only the cards that I desire. And I'm going to just throw the rest of the cards away. I'm giving it up. I'm just becoming what I want to become. And and on a last note, I had somebody not long ago say to me, you've become so successful, you followed your goals. I said, no, I gave them up. I just became who I wanted to be. And that might be your label of success. All I know is I'm happy, and that's what matters. So
That's
one of the
awesome.
things, Lauren, I'm very happy for is our audience. Thank you for being here. Thank you for the people who are just joining us, our frequent flyers. Thank you for being on another show of Small Biz Talk with your host, Lori Williams. Lauren will stay after, as she always does, to make sure you get directed to anybody you want to meet with. You want to meet with me, Lauren will get you set up. And thank you again for being here for a very fascinating discussion for sure. And looking forward to next week. Bye, everybody.
Bye, Lori. Take care. All right, everyone. Be sure to check the chat. We've got an email address for Deborah Deras. So it's dderas@smallbizla.org. Or if you'd like to connect with Lori, you can go to or email me, lauren@lsimpson@lbcc.edu. Let's see. I'm trying to quickly scan. You know what? Reach out to us if you need anything at all, setting a meeting, or even, copy of this recording. You can always go to our YouTube playlist. The link is in the chat. And I thank you for joining us. We will see you next week. That's next Wednesday at 10 a.m. for another episode of Small Biz Talk, Solutions for Your Small Business. Take care.